Imagine a fragile peace hanging by a thread in the Gaza Strip, only for alarming whispers of betrayal to threaten it all. That's the shocking reality we're facing today, as the U.S. State Department warns that the militant group Hamas might be gearing up for an assault on Palestinian civilians right there in Gaza. This isn't just rumor. It's a potential catastrophe that could shatter the hard-won ceasefire and plunge the region back into chaos. If you're following the Israel-Hamas conflict, you know how delicate these truces can be, built on painstaking negotiations involving hostages, prisoners, and territorial lines. But stick around, because this development raises eyebrows and begs some tough questions about loyalty, power, and who really suffers in the crossfire. By Faris Tanyos, news editor. Faris Tanyos serves as a news editor at CBSNews.com, crafting and refining stories while keeping a close eye on breaking developments. Before this, he honed his skills as a digital news producer across various local stations along the West Coast. Read full bio, updated on October 18, 2025, 9:46 p.m. EDT, CBS News. Diving deeper into this urgent alert, the U.S. State Department issued a stern statement on Saturday, revealing that they've shared reliable intelligence with the nations overseeing the Gaza Ceasefire Pact. This intel points to Hamas potentially breaching the agreement by launching an imminent strike against civilians in Gaza itself. For those new to the topic, a ceasefire is essentially a temporary halt in fighting, agreed upon to allow talks and de-escalation. Think of it as a timeout in a heated game, but with real lives on the line. The announcement didn't dive into specifics like the exact nature of the attack, its intended victims, the spot in Gaza, or a timeline for when it might unfold. Instead, it emphasized that such an action would be a blatant and serious breach, jeopardizing the gains from months of diplomatic efforts. If Hamas goes ahead with this, steps will be implemented to safeguard Gaza's residents and uphold the ceasefire's foundations, the department declared. Though they kept the details of those protective actions under wraps, it's a reminder that these agreements aren't just words on paper. They're meant to prevent bloodshed, but enforcing them requires vigilance and sometimes decisive intervention. This bombshell lands amid even more troubling footage that CBS News uncovered just earlier this week. The video captures armed Hamas operatives confronting Palestinians they've labeled as gang members, cooperating with Israel. In a chilling sequence, these individuals are executed on the spot. For beginners trying to grasp the complexities, this highlights how accusations of collaboration can turn deadly, often rooted in suspicions rather than solid evidence, and it paints a grim picture of internal divisions within Palestinian communities. Israeli hostage negotiator Gershon Baskin, speaking to CBS News, described this as part of a long-standing pattern of retribution by Hamas against those they suspect of aiding Israel. Hamas eliminates them simply because they hold the power to do so, Baskin explained this week. They're essentially a criminal syndicate that's dominated Palestinian governance in Gaza for nearly 2 decades. This isn't about democratic values or freedom, it's authoritarian control. Baskin painted a fuller picture by noting how Israel, during the conflict, supplied weapons and funds to rival Palestinian factions opposing Hamas, aiming to dilute the group's influence. Israel has bolstered these groups, many with histories in illicit trades like drug distribution and smuggling, as a counterbalance to Hamas, he said. But this approach is fraught with risks and isn't a long-term fix. And here's where it gets controversial. President Trump, in remarks to reporters on Tuesday, seemed to downplay Hamas's actions against these armed groups. They took down some really nasty gangs, the worst kind, he remarked. Honestly, that didn't trouble me all that much. This casual endorsement has sparked debate. Does it imply a green light for such violence, or is it a pragmatic nod to weakening perceived threats? Opinions on Trump's stance could vary wildly, depending on your view of the broader geopolitics at play. Looking ahead, Hamas's position in Gaza's governance is still unclear and divisive. Israel insists on full disarmament, while the ceasefire accord outlines a transition where Hamas hands over control to a neutral, expert-led Palestinian panel tasked with managing everyday services and local administration for Gaza's people. This shift aims to foster stability, but it raises questions about how smoothly power can be transferred in such a volatile environment. And this is the part most people miss. Without genuine buy-in from all sides, these plans might crumble like a house of cards. The agreement, brokered by the U.S. and endorsed by global figures including President Trump on Monday, marked a pivotal step in ending the 2-year Israel-Hamas war. Under its terms, Hamas freed 20 surviving hostages, Israel liberated roughly 2,000 Palestinian inmates, and Israeli forces retreated to predetermined boundaries within Gaza. The pact also mandates Hamas to return the remains of 28 deceased hostages. Though progress has been sluggish, only 10 have been handed over so far, with 2 more bodies delivered Saturday that await verification. As reported by the Associated Press, Israel has reciprocated by repatriating 135 Palestinian remains to Gaza. Deborah Pata contributed reporting to this piece. In Hamas, Israel, Gaza Strip. What do you think? Should the U.S. have revealed more about these measures to deter Hamas? Or is this level of secrecy necessary for diplomacy? And does Trump's apparent approval of Hamas's crackdowns change how you see the conflict's dynamics? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear differing perspectives and spark a conversation.